across continents, across centuries, across empires that never met, the same laws kept appearing.
All right, let's dive into one of the biggest mysteries in all of human history. This idea of a universal blueprint for law. I mean, how did all these different civilizations, separated by thousands of years and huge oceans, somehow end up writing the exact same rules? Not really. Just stop and think about that for a second. We are talking about cultures separated by thousands of years, by entire oceans, with zero contact. And yet, they all landed on the same fundamental ideas about what's fair, how to handle power, what's right and wrong. I mean, how? How is that even possible? So that's the big question we're going to tackle. Did we as humans just invent all these rules from scratch? Or did we stumble upon something much, much older than civilization itself? We're going to follow the clues and see where they lead. Is this a human invention, or is it more like we just discovered a fundamental law of the universe? Okay, so our investigation has to start somewhere, and that somewhere is ancient Mesopotamia. But here's the thing, this isn't just chapter 1. This is like the master plan, the original blueprint, and you'll see it gets copied in some seriously uncanny ways. And what's just wild is how modern this all feels. We're talking about the Code of Hammurabi from almost 4,000 years ago. It laid out this idea of proportional justice, lex talionis, the whole an eye for an eye thing. But it also had written contracts, laws about marriage and family, and this is a big one, it said that even powerful officials could be punished if they were corrupt. Keep these ideas in your back pocket, because they're going to be important. You see, Mesopotamia didn't just jot down a few rules. They built an entire logical framework for justice, a template, and that template would echo for thousands of years. But here's the real mystery we're trying to solve. Was it just an echo bouncing around the world? Or was every civilization tuning into the exact same original broadcast? All right, so if Mesopotamia wrote the original song, let's see where else it shows up on the charts. We're going to fast forward through a good bit of history now, because this blueprint starts popping up all over the place, and I mean all over. Just look at this timeline. It's nuts. You've got Mesopotamia, and then you see this same legal DNA, this same structure, popping up in Egypt, then Greece, then Rome. Okay. You might think maybe they just copied each other, but then it appears in China and India. These are civilizations that had very little, if any, contact with that Mediterranean world. It's like they all took totally different roads, but somehow ended up at the exact same destination. And this right here, this is the key that unlocks the whole thing, the one big idea that connects all of them. None of these cultures thought they were inventing law. They all believed they were discovering it. Sure, they all had different names for it, but the core idea was identical. There's a universal cosmic order to things, and our human laws are just our fumbling attempts to write down the rules of the universe and live by them. Okay, check this out, because this is where it gets really mind-blowing. In Egypt, they called this cosmic order Ma'at, divine balance. Head over to Greece and Rome, they called it natural law, something you figure out using logic and reason. In India, it's dharma, your sacred moral duty. And in China, it's the mandate of heaven, a moral authority so powerful that not even the emperor was above it. Look at that! 4 different worlds, 4 different names, but the exact same game-changing idea. The law is bigger than any king or ruler. So at this point, you've got to be thinking, there's no way this is all just a big coincidence, right? But hey, to be good detectives, we need a real test. We need a control group. We need to find a civilization, or a whole continent of them, that was totally 100% isolated from all of this. Because think about it. If the same legal blueprint shows up even there, in total isolation, well, then the whole theory that it was just copied and passed along goes right out the window. And that would force us to look at a much, much stranger and more profound explanation. And guess what? We have the perfect test case, the indigenous civilizations of the Americas. We're talking about the Maya, the Aztec, the Inca, the Iroquois Confederation, all of them. For thousands of years, they were completely cut off from Europe, Asia, and Africa by 2 giant oceans. They were a totally separate, independent experiment in building a society. So, here's the billion-dollar question. Did they come up with the same blueprint? And the answer is a massive, unequivocal yes. The blueprint shows up again. The independently developed concepts like restorative justice, which is really about repairing harm, kind of a different spin on Mesopotamia's eye for an eye. They had council law, which made leaders accountable to the people. Their entire idea of justice was built on sacred, cosmic foundations, just like we saw in Egypt and India. And yep, you guessed it, they had clear rules for trade, land, and family. It's the same architecture, built from scratch on the other side of the planet.
Okay, so let's just take a breath and process this. What does this all mean? If literally everyone, everywhere, working completely on their own, discovers the same fundamental rules for a just society, what does that tell us about the nature of justice itself? Let's break down this universal architecture that we've now found on every continent.
So when you put all the pieces together, the pattern is just undeniable. For 4,000 years, across every single inhabited continent, human beings have built their societies on these same 6 pillars. You need proportional justice. You need rules for contracts and property. You need laws for family and inheritance. You've got to punish corruption. There has to be a moral order that even rulers answer to. And the law has to be written down to limit power. It's the same blueprint every single time.
And that leads us to a final and kind of haunting thought. What if justice isn't a human invention at all? What if it's more like gravity or the laws of math, a fundamental force of the universe woven right into the fabric of reality itself? And maybe, just maybe, all of human history hasn't been about creating justice, but about the long, slow, difficult process of finally discovering it.